welcome. All right. Welcome on this Remembrance Day. Lovely and fitting. All right, so I want to call to order. Yes, perfect. I'm going to call to order at 4:33 p.m. on November 11th. All right, there's a recommendation that the agenda for the Municipal Heritage Committee dated November 11th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Can I have, awesome. Randy, can I have a seconder? Paul, all in favor? Motion carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Nope. Okay, we'll move on. There's a recommendation that the minutes of the Municipal Heritage Committee meeting dated October 14th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Can I have someone make a motion? Paul, seconder. Judy, all in favor? Motion carried. We have a deputation, and Angela is going to speak to that.
Thank you. I'll just say a couple of words before managers Taylor and Funston begin. And they're just here to inform committee about some potential interior renovations at the train station. And as you all know, the train station is designated. Perhaps I could request that the designation bylaw be brought up on screen. And Schedule C to that designation bylaw contains a description of the heritage attributes of the train station. So staff have reviewed those attributes. It is our opinion that the proposed renovations or changes do not alter any of the identified heritage attributes, and it's therefore not necessary for council to approve any of the proposed renovations. But of course, we do like to keep committee informed. And so with that, managers Taylor and Funston can give some more information.
Thank you very much. As you probably have heard, we are in the beginning stages of negotiating with a potential tenant for the train station. If everything goes through according to plan, this will be a long-term tenant, a local business that is looking to expand to a new location. And as part of that, there are some renovations that would need to be done to the existing building in order to accommodate this tenant and any future tenants of the same type of trade. So we are looking at having to do a kitchen upgrade, probably 2019, I'm going to say. The previous tenant vacated the building, and so there are no appliances. The kitchen sinks and countertops and things like that would all need to be retrofitted for a business that is in the food service industry, which is what the potential tenant is. And so we've been in discussions with them as a leaseholder that they've talked to us about what they would like to do with their kitchen and any other potential renovations that would take place. So what they're proposing in the kitchen does not impact any of the attributes shown on the screen. Predominantly, the main areas of concern for the train station would be the ticket booth, the woodwork around the ticket booth, the windows, the roof line. And so the kitchen would simply go into a space that was previously occupied by modern appliances. They are also proposing there would be some counter replacements and some plumbing upgrades that would need to be done, which basically as the town, we would be willing to work with them and do some of the work ourselves on some of the interior of the building to ensure that the heritage assets are preserved and that none of the attributes are in jeopardy. Additionally, there would be potentially the installation of an exhaust hood. So that would be another item in the kitchen that would have to go in, but again, doesn't impact any of the named attributes. And as well, as you recall, there have been some renovations done on the train station over the years, such as accessible washrooms, and we did some exterior siding work and some roof in previous years. So it's essentially keeping the building viable as a long-term commercial space with a tenant that is looking to sign a 5-year lease or longer. And so that's basically what is happening. If everything goes according to plan, we probably would look at renovations happening in the new year and a tenant occupying the space in the second half of 2026. So that's essentially what's happening. The lighting fixtures and things like that would still remain the same. Nothing structural to the building as far as foundation, retaining walls, roof, anything like that. If you have questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Mr. Funston is here in case there's questions about previous work, and I'm happy to speak to the tenant.
Does anyone have any questions for Amy? Oh, Judy, go ahead.
You mentioned exhaust hood and venting. Where would the venting be? To the outside? In which case, it would impact something, I think, either the siding or the roof.
You are correct. So exhaust hood, at this point, we are looking at 2 options. The first option, which is more expensive and potentially questionable for capacity, would be using the existing chimney. So we were trying to use as much of the existing building as possible. Option 2 would be putting it on the roof. It would not impact the overhang and the rafters that are named in the attributes, but it would be on top of the roof. The roof itself is not heritage. It is obviously the architectural feature. So we would try to do that in a way that doesn't interfere with the look and feel of the train station, but also recognizing we have to meet fire safety regulations.
Any other questions for Amy? Nope. Great, thank you so much. All right, I think we're ready for our working group reports. We're going to start with Glenn Silver. What's that? All good. Glenn Silver is going to share on behalf of the Heritage Recognition Working Group.
We have met, and our interest is to get the brochure done, and please don't let me forget anything because my brain is mush today. We are also happy to see that we have public access to the nominations. I saw that in an email this morning. That was really good. That was also one of our interests, to allow the public to nominate their own building for heritage or their own building for built heritage. And we're working on the properties, or talking to the owners of the properties that we have in mind for the coming months.
And what Glenn's speaking to is that if you go onto the, oh, Haley's going to bring it up for us. Perfect. We have and Angela's going to speak to it. Great. So on our website, Angela's just going to share what we've updated for the public.
Thank you. Since the October meeting, Jasper, our student planner, has been busy in conjunction with Leanne in Amy's department and myself working on the fillable forms that had been requested. So I just wanted to note that there are actually 2 forms. The first is for someone who wishes their own property to be recognized, and the second form is for someone who, is set up so that anyone can nominate someone for a Built Heritage Award. The Heritage Property Recognition form, the first one, does include a brief explanation about the various types of recognition that have been mentioned and gives options to request more information. Both of these are now live on the town's website. I am looking for feedback. I understand that I just emailed those to you this morning, but looking for feedback and input. Want to thank Jasper, who did most of the work on this, and happy to answer any questions about why they were set up the way they were, and recognizing that you haven't had a lot of time to see them.
Randy, go ahead.
Bing, thank you. Great forum. Just a couple things I noticed. Committee is not, on the first one, sorry. Yeah, can we just, the spelling of the word committee needs to be adjusted. But more of a concern to me is, I'm just wondering the wording there to appropriately recognize it. I'm just thinking we should maybe change that to consider your property for recognition. It's not an automatic thing, and people may get the wrong impression that, oh, if I submit it, then it's gonna be recognized, and it may not be, right? But I'm just thinking, yeah, we could just easily change that to, structure allows the Heritage Committee to consider your property for recognition or something like that. That's all.
Thanks, Randy. We're going to scroll down. So there's lots of different options, and when you fill out the form, I think you can choose. Yes, so you would put in your address, your heritage significance of your property, and I would like more information on maybe designation of my property, putting a plaque, interpretive panel, built heritage awards, or other. And I think this is also a place where we can request information about our property as well if we're looking for a historic piece. So this will come directly to us so that we can review and have your property in consideration. Can we have a look at the built heritage part of that? Thank you. So this is talking about our Built Heritage Awards, and this is where you would nominate yourself or someone else's property. And there's the criteria is listed, so completed restoration, renovation, or new construction. Maybe the design complements other heritage structures in the neighborhood or town, working to restore a building's heritage features. Maybe the methodology or techniques are of good quality and craftsmanship, and you want to nominate. Can we scroll down a little bit more? So that's where you would submit those, and you could say why your building is notable, have your building address, just to share as much information with us that you have so that we can have those for consideration. Are there any questions from the committee? Oh, Judy?
Form before this one, or yes, information before this one, there's a typo, it's something very small. The first one that we looked at. Yep, honor, yep. And go back, scrolling up, keep going, keep scrolling. Where is the little sucker? No, that's already been identified.
Committee throughout.
That's been identified, the whole thing, committee is wrong. But there's also a larger, I think is the word, and it's a typo.
Oh, larger panel, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it.
Not an allerger.
Allerger, yep, panel, yep.
This is great that we're able to find these things.
There's just one a small one, calendar spelled wrong on the other form too.
Oh, and on the other one, calendar, okay.
Calendar year, something.
Great, we can, perfect. We'll make note of these changes.
See things.
And these were shared with Angela, and if you want to go on the website, have a look, and if there's any changes that you think need to be made, you can send that email to Angela. Wonderful. Any other questions? Glenn, was there anything else you wanted to share? Go ahead, Glenn.
Just the fact that this is a huge change and a really welcome change to allow the public to see that they can honor their own properties or honor somebody else's property. It's a huge change. And just for them to be able to make that nomination is really, really special. And thanks, Jasper, for the work you did. And everybody else as well, because that's a huge step forward. Thank you.
Randy, did you want to share? Go ahead, Randy.
Thank you. Just to clarify, what happens when somebody fills out the form? I guess, is that an email to Angela, or somebody, or how does it work? Who's it go to, who responds, whatever?
Thank you. We're still working the final details, but the thought would be that it would go to myself and Nicole in the planning department. And there would be, part of that would be an auto reply saying, thank you for your email, we've received it. It will now go to the Heritage Committee for consideration. And then it would go on to the next agenda. That's sort of our thought process on that.
Should it go to the Heritage Recognition Working Group before it comes to the committee as a whole? So they have an opportunity to research?
We can definitely do that if that's the preference.
Okay. Jasper wants to speak. Do you have a microphone? So where Rob is, and then we can make you live just over there.
Of answers is also sent back to whoever filled out the form. So if you nominate a property, you get sent a PDF of all your own responses, so that if you forget, what did I say about the property, what did I submit, you still have that. And then also a PDF of the form is also sent to whatever email, so Angela or Nicole, so they can also file that as well.
Thank you, Jasper. Wonderful. Oh, sorry, Paul. It doesn't pop up on my screen today. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, sorry, just a question for Jasper. Does a copy of the filled out form go to the property owner? If someone else filled it out for them, no? Okay.
It doesn't, because if somebody fills out a form for your property and you don't know about it, you don't necessarily want a copy of those answers, because you're not involved in the process. But if you're aware of it and the person that fills it out can then share the answers with you, yes.
That's a great question. Thank you. Yeah, I think it just comes forward as a consideration, and then it's up to the committee to contact the property owners. Yeah. Thank you. Judy Humphreys, go ahead.
I think if somebody were commenting on my property, I would want the things that have been said. If somebody was nominating my property,
Yes, so that would be up for the town to contact, like,
Okay.
or our committee, sorry, our committee to
but
contact if
that
we are going
information
ahead.
wouldn't come automatically to me as the homeowner.
No, it would be, we wouldn't have the contact information unless they wanted to CC them in it and add them on theirs. But I feel like most people would be nominating themselves and putting their properties forward. Yep. And Angela wants to speak to that.
Thank you. Part of the thought process for dividing it into the two separate forms is that the honoring the heritage property, we thought that that was only appropriate to come from the homeowner, whereas the Built Heritage Award, we felt was more general, that it was almost a nice thing that somebody else could nominate somebody for a Built Heritage Award then for consideration by the Recognition Working Group.
I was just saying to Angela, it's very similar to the Daisy Award nominations. My understanding. Is there any other questions for Glenn or the committee? Nope, great. Oh, yes, sorry, I forgot about that. All right, so in our group, we're going to share some of these plaques that, yes, that's the page, perfect. So in our group, with Glenn and Judy and myself and Paul, we wanted to update the blue plaques. So you'll see a lot of these plaques around town have the older symbol at the top, like at the Carnegie Library, and the town has created a new logo. So we have some options here to have a look at that Leanne's updated for us. And Amy as well. Oh, Amy's going to speak to it. Lovely. Go ahead, Amy. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Just on behalf of the marketing division of my portfolio. So basically, the options that are presented here, one is just a simple swap out for the crest for the actual town logo, which is basically your top, the previous page, if you scroll up one. So that bottom representation is simply if you took everything existing with the current plaque and were to just take out the town crest and put in the logo. The second page, then the top design concept is a more accessible, compliant design. So technically, the bottom design concept is really what should be looked at from an accessibility perspective, and even then it could be tweaked even further. So either top or bottom on this page would be what we recommend from a design perspective for the accessibility component. But you could go with the simple swap out. We just feel these are more readable and do comply better to the accessibility standards that we need to follow. From a design perspective, the files can go to any supplier of choice. So it would simply be you deciding whether you want a cleaner version of the sign being the top design concept or a complete redesign being the bottom.
Great. We wanted to just bring these forward so that people could have a look at them, think about them. We'll share them out via email so that you can have a better look at it. And we'll bring that forward to the next meeting to hopefully choose a design that will go forward. Wonderful. Does anyone have any questions for Amy about these? Richard? Press your button, Richard. Thank you.
So I just wondering if anybody wished, would it be possible, say, to combine some elements of both of those two designs, like particularly the font, for the lettering? I mean, we might like, for instance, the lower design, but possibly the font style for the upper one. Would that be possible or reasonable or no?
Theoretically, yes, it is possible. We would just need direction from the committee, what revisions you would like, and then we can present a final concept.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like see elements of both of those that I think are nice, personally.
Great. So we'll send that out as an email, and then you can give us any questions or things that you have some suggestions for. Randy?
Thanks. Just to clarify, though, your recommendation, I think, was that the other font is considered more readable by today's standards, right?
Correct.
Accessibility standards.
Technically, the serif, the extra little ticks on the font are not compliant for visually impaired. So we generally would suggest not a sans serif font, which is your bottom option. Now, if you want something that is if you wanted something that was still clean from a visual perspective, but slightly more historic looking, we could talk about that. But I mean, the idea is a sans serif font would be what we recommend from an accessibility perspective.
Thank you so much. Great. All right, we're going to move on to the Interpretive Signs and Plaques Working Group. Richard Tatley is going to start us off.
Madam Chairman, the Interpretive Signs and Heritage and Plaques Working Group had a meeting on the November 5th. 4 of us were in attendance, and we discussed a number of things. First of all, there was agreement that it would be nice if we had some historical signage in different parts of the core or the urban part of Gravenhurst, primarily aimed at buildings that or facilities that no longer exist, but nevertheless we could call attention to them, and also maybe to the people who were involved in building or running them. And anyway, there was an agreement that this would be, a desirable thing to do. And then we then looked at the question, well, which sites would we like to start off with? And everybody seemed to like the idea of Mickey McCabe's Tavern at the south end of Gravenhurst, which was the first building built in Gravenhurst, also the first enterprise of any kind, because it was a tavern and a hotel of sorts, so to speak, for the early travelers coming up here. And it was also, of course, the site of the first post office, which was opened in the tavern in 1862. And so, and it was considered also that in case there's any difficulty with the property owners at the site, because the actual site, I think, is occupied today by private residences, but if there's any problem with that, it was considered that maybe such a plaque might be just across the street where the Anglican Church cemetery stands, and it was Mickey McCabe apparently who donated the land for the cemetery, so there's a tie-in, and a plaque could say, well, the tavern was right across the street, from where the sign is posted. These ideas were discussed. And another one that was looked at very seriously was the old North Ward School, which is the first school built in Gravenhurst. I was surprised to find that it was built as early as 1863, but it was way up at the north end of town at the corner of Wagner Street and Muskoka Road. And am I mistaken about that? Oh, sorry, I meant to say Winewood, my mistake. And we were showing some pictures of it, and it was an interesting old building, almost church-like, and I thought, that would be a very appropriate one. A third one that looked good was the first store built in Gravenhurst, which was, of course, the Montreal store built by J.P. Coburn way back in, I think, 1866. And it later became known as the Northern Emporium, and there's, of course, there's still I think, is it a lawyer's office that occupies the building, the prison building right now? But anyway, that's just diagonally across the street from the post office at the Four Corners, and putting up a sign there would simply mean getting agreement with the property owner to put it on the building. I mean, it wouldn't be a freestanding sign if it were located there. A few other possibilities were discussed, but some difficulties were seen with some of those. Would there be any point in my alluding to any of the other possibilities?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Judy has some history to share about those three properties we've talked
Okay,
about.
excellent. Pardon me.
We'll just scroll back up, and we're going to show, present, and Judy, you can go ahead and share.
Yeah, I think actually Richard has covered most of it. The McCabe property is the McCabe property is identified there. We don't have a picture, obviously, of what it looked like. A little too early. But the paragraph that is written there, I wrote simply to capture the history of the property. And we can use a picture of Mickey McCabe himself, or we can use the picture of the advertisement that was placed in the early Gravenhurst Banner. No, sorry, it was placed in the Gazetteer Directory of Simcoe County for the Freemasons' Arms. Sorry, my voice is in rough shape. So I think, do you want me to, I don't think I need to read that to you, or do I? Everybody okay with reading it there? Sure, yep, I can do that. Excuse me. James Mickey McCabe with his wife Letitia, the first settlers in Gravenhurst, had constructed a log shanty in 1859-1860 across from the present-day Anglican Cemetery before building a much-improved establishment between present-day Nelson and Main Streets on the west side of Muskoka Road. They called it the Freemasons' Arms and provided hearty meals and feather beds to weary surveyors and travelers. Mickey was the first postmaster in the village, and with a scow on Muskoka, which he kept on Muskoka Bay, he delivered mail and transported people and freight up the bay. In 1863, yeah, I'm having trouble reading it, obviously. He worked with 4 other early settlers to build the first log schoolhouse in the village, the North Ward School, and he donated land for the first church, the English church, as it was called in those days, which is the Anglican Church, and the cemetery, which still exists. When Letitia died in 1887, he sold the hotel or tavern and remarried and turned to farming. Sorry, my computer has died a death here. Believe it or not, this afternoon. Yeah, that's great, thanks. So I just couldn't pull it up on my own.
Where was that church? The English church, is where the Anglican?
Right across the road from the cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's not there anymore.
no. The next one is the North Ward School. The first school in Gravenhurst was the North Ward one-room school, built in late 1862, early 1863, of logs hewn by the hands of 6 early settlers. Is that from you? Thank you very much. James McCabe, Joseph Brock, Thomas Robinson, William Elder, Edward Hewitt, and James Sharp. The school opened for classes in the fall of 1864. An inspector's report of 1868 showed 17 pupils with sporadic attendance. It's not much different from today, is it? Outside class times, the school was used as a general meeting place, as a polling station, and until 1877, as the site of the Presbyterian church services. The log school burned to the ground in 1874, but was rebuilt by 1877. In 1889, the first high school classes were held in the North Ward School, where they shared space, how's that, with the North Ward School public school classes until 1896. The building operated as a public school until 1966. So it had a very, very long life of almost 100 years in operation. In 1967, the old North Ward School property of about 1 acre, involving 5 lots, 2 on Muskoka Road, and 1 on Winewood, 2 on John, was sold to an investment company which planned to build housing there. And the third one, the Montreal store, had its beginnings in Aurelia. It was called Montreal Store in Aurelia, same people ran it. But with the launch of A.P. Coburn's Winona steamer in 1866, it was clear that a Montreal store or Northern Emporium was needed in Gravenhurst. Not only did the store provide all manner of provisions and dry goods, it paid cash for farm produce and furs, and would accept gold nuggets in payment for goods, a nod to the brief gold rush in this area. Located on the southeast corner of Muskoka Road at Brock Street, the store was the first mercantile establishment on what would become the main street and business hub of Gravenhurst. It delivered goods free of charge to steamships coming and going from Muskoka Wharf.
Beautiful. Thank you, Judy. Okay. Did anyone have any questions? Oh, Richard?
Hoping I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, we might possibly find ourselves adding a wee bit to that by admitting that the original store burned down in the Great Fire of 1887 and was rebuilt. And that perhaps it was rebuilt out of brick at that time. I'm not certain. That might we might end up making an addition there. I don't know.
Great. So for the interpretive signs and plaques working group, these are some of the properties that they are thinking of creating some signs for, some signage that they're going to bring forward, hopefully in the next couple of meetings. Paul, you had a question?
No, just a personal comment. I went to the North Ward School till grade 3, or grade 4, actually, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
Back in 1863.
Yeah, that's right.
Have you been around that long?
Nice. Thank you, Paul. Judy?
Okay, just for clarification purposes, it was not called the Montreal store when the Great Fire occurred. It had actually become McKim's General Store.
Yeah, it says that there. So on the picture, it says, although this building is labeled McKim Dry Goods and Millinery in 1885 with the wooden Albion Hotel in the background, this was the original location of the Montreal store or the Northern Emporium, as it was variously labeled over time. Randy?
Thanks. I'm just wondering, is there a way that we could, again, use the website or something to start compiling these items? And I mean, in lieu of getting the plaque in place, you know, if that takes some time, we could have those on a map or something.
Love that you said that because the Heritage Recognition Working Group, that is one of our initiatives.
Okay.
Our plan is to
sounds good.
add historic sites that are not plaqued and historic buildings, sort of like a walking tour of the downtown core to give you a clickable history that you can pull up on your phone. Hopefully Jasper can give me some ideas.
So you're way ahead of me.
We're way ahead of you.
Thank you.
Yes, that's kind of our next piece, to have that accessible. So if you do come to Gravenhurst, you can see all the amazing historic places in town that may or may not be plaqued. You can also find on the map all of our plaques and all of our designated places. I think Angela wants to add in there.
Thank you. Just building on that, there are existing maps on the website, and I guess just to sort of give the condensed version, we've looked at a lot of different options. Amy may have some more insight further to what I have to say, but we've looked at a lot of different options and don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we're thinking we may have something to bring back to you at the next meeting, just really looking more at using the existing map and having different links to it and building upon it. And I'm not sure if, again, Amy may have something more to add to that.
Sure. What I can sort of say is, previously at one of the meetings, not sure how long ago, but we have what is classed as a parks and facilities module. We've done a bit of a run through, and so there are some existing tools on the website that can be utilized and leveraged in a different way than they are at the moment, to achieve what you're looking for without having to take on any additional financial burden or staffing burden. So I think there's a few options, given that the committee does have limited budgeting and limited physical resources. So that will probably be a future discussion, and we can go over the tools and talk about things.
Rev Jasper, yes. Randy, you have a question, comment?
Well, just a comment. I think, you know, I'm under the impression that you can highlight these things right in Google Maps as well and have your own designated items right in Google Maps, which costs nothing, and then you could link it to the description, whatever. Just a thought that way.
You are 100% correct. The only challenge that we have run into in the past is that the Google has from time to time issued different proprietary restrictions. So we at one point had Google search as our website search, and then they changed the parameters and we had to go to a third-party search. So 100% you can use Google, you can do a map, we can embed it on the website. It is a free resource. You are just limited to the website and Google speaking to each other in a compatible way. That's sort of the dumbed down version, but that is the only challenge we've run into with the proprietary software of our website.
Great, thank you. You had a question for Amy? Richard? Press your button. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm not quite certain whether we alluded to this earlier or not. There was a third thing I think agreed to by the working group when we met on the 5th, and that was that there were at least 3 different types of signs or plaques that we were considering. One of them would be small, oval blue plaques or something like them. A second possibility would be small signboards, roughly 3 feet by 2 feet. And the third, of course, would be something much bigger, almost like a billboard. And everybody had seemed to agree that we prefer the second one, which would be small signboards, roughly 3 feet by 2. I think that's what the committee would recommend anyway, something about that size. I don't know whether we mentioned that or not, but I just thought in case it wasn't mentioned, I thought I should say it now.
Perfect. Yeah, we're going to keep with the signage that we have in the past, the ALU panels, I think it's 3x2s. And with these new updated metal plaques that we are previously using, we're just doing an upgrade to them. Those will be available. And then larger places like the Severn Bridge Fall Fair, we can discuss different signage options using those ALU panels. Yeah. Thank you. So our last working group, it's Doors Open Working Group. An final update by Angela? Final update by Angela, sort of, close to. Till next year.
Just wanted to let you know that there will be a report going to council next Tuesday, November 18th, specifically Committee of the Whole. And that report is just for information purposes. It's also to celebrate successes. And as noted in that report, it will be publicly available later this week. And of course, the meeting's open to the public, but it's really just an information item. But I would note that in that report, the staff position is that the event should be held every 2 years, so not again before 2027. And that's really to address one of the challenges with having repetition of the same sites by necessity, many of which are town-owned. It would be great if during the 2-year break, that time can be used by committee members to explore private property owners to be able to get some fresh new sites available for 2027. That's all I wanted to say today.
Perfect. So do you want to propose that we keep this Doors Open Working Group then? And for the work plan? Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about adding it to the work plan. Great. All right, thank you for sharing. There are no other reports. There's some unfinished business. Angela's going to share about MHC Fall Forum.
Thank you. Just wanted to report on Saturday, November 1st, the first MHC Fall Forum was held as a virtual event. It was organized by the City of Burlington and the City of Hamilton. Because it was virtual, it allowed MHC members like yourselves, like support staff like myself, and counselors like Councillor Jorgensen from all across the province to attend virtually, talk about some of the challenges that everyone is facing, as well as what is working. So myself, Lindsay, Councillor Jorgensen, Paul Cook, and Carol Ann Simpson were able to attend the 3-hour session. There were 2 presentations. The first one was from Dr. David Galbraith of the Royal Botanical Gardens in Hamilton. Spoke about how this multi-property facility, part of which was previously a quarry, continues to evolve into a contemporary public attraction. And the second presentation was from Dr. Angela Carr, who spoke about concerns with the proposed new Metrolink station at Osgoode Hall in Toronto, given that the original part of Osgoode Hall is 2 centuries old and has been a federal historic building since 1979. So there are concerns with potential impacts, including vibrations from the construction site and broader concerns given the status that this property has. So the question was posed, if it can happen at Osgoode, what about everywhere else? So then there was a survey that had been sent out to heritage committees. There are 146 municipalities in Ontario with a municipal heritage committee. Of that, they received 20 surveys back. Of those, on a very general basis, the survey respondents were mostly municipalities, small, less than 20,000 people, generally have planners and clerk staff, as is the situation here, have about 100 to 200 properties listed and 50 designated, have a low budget, do not use consultants, volunteers are doing the work for designating properties, primarily use the bronze plaques for properties, and which are typically paid fully by the property owner. Subcommittees are research-based, and volunteers are generally recognized with certificates. One of the biggest concerns is insurance that was noted in the survey, and they are going to provide more detailed statistics after more surveys are sent back. So I did send you a email late today about 3 of the questions that I couldn't answer for the survey. So I'll just ask you to have a look at that and get back to me, email me if you have any questions. And then the final part of the 3-hour program was everyone went into breakout groups, and there was 2 separate questions posed. What was your municipality's strategy on response to Bill 23? What worked and what didn't? And how does your municipality celebrate Heritage Week and/or Heritage Day? And so I'm not going to go through everything, but there were some interesting points made just about insurance. And the one thing that really jumped out at me is for insurance costs, designation doesn't matter. If the building is sort of 1940s, the insurance is going to be increased regardless, whether the property's designated or not. So I thought that was an important point to make. But I think, as always, like to take advantage of these free opportunities to interact with other municipal heritage committees. And the organizers said that's why they did that, was because their feedback was that members of heritage committees just want to talk to each other. So I'm not sure if anybody else who was able to attend had any other information.
Thank you, Angela. We're going to move on to new business. And Angela's going to speak to the draft work plan for 2026.
Thank you. So, as noted in the email sent out, November 5th, this is the last scheduled meeting for the Heritage Committee for 2025. And then, given that 2026 is an election year, the last scheduled meeting for this MHC group is June of 2026. So I would suggest it's therefore prudent to get the 2026 work plan organized and approved by council as soon as possible in order to be able to hit the ground running. Haley, if you could please put up the draft work plan. Yeah, no problem. No problem. And so the email that I sent out did include both the 2025 work plan as well as the draft 2026 work plan. There aren't a lot of differences. There are a couple of highlights in the draft that were provided based on feedback received to date. And I just think based on some of the feedback and what we've heard tonight, one of the things that probably should change is not limiting where the interpretive signage will be focused on. Just the language is a working group to work with Gravenhurst Archives and Town of Gravenhurst Economic Development Division to implement heritage signage program and not include any limitations on where it is. With respect to doors open, I had tentatively taken it off the list because it wouldn't be happening in 2026, or potentially not happening in 2026, but that a good point was made that the working group can continue to operate and, again, make some contacts and connections with privately owned properties to hopefully be able to add some more sites to the list.
All right, we're going to just pull up that draft. And we'll go through. Shall I go through it line by line? Okay. All right, so we can go down, so we're Ontario Heritage Act. We can go down below that to the promotional programs. So for property recognition, our plan was to provide information for recognition options and plaque 2 properties. was sort of the plan there. That's the update. Ongoing promotion in the form of updates to brochures, the website, designation guide. We're working on getting information to make some rack cards as well, updates on the town website and articles, and working with partner organizations. So Built Heritage Awards. The working group is to review criteria for awards and review recommended buildings, and the public can suggest recommended buildings via the website, and those awards will be distributed summer 2026. And then community activities just being available for town events like Doors Open or leading walking tours. The interpretive signage group, Angela said we're gonna change that. So working group to work with Grosvenor's Archives and Town Grosvenor's Economic Development Division to implement heritage signage program at various places. So we will update that. And then not much has changed in the survey, inventory, and research and document. So properties of interest. So the Heritage Recognition Working Group is to continue to review and evaluate properties, continue to update heritage inventory, and that's up to date, right, Angela? Yes, I believe so. Perfect. More to be added as we discover them. Mapping of heritage properties. We will do that in conjunction with Amy in the town. And add in information as we can to the already existing map. And then Muskoka Built work with the ACO Muskoka branch to include register information on their digital Muskoka Built platform. So as we find more properties and add them to our list or add them to our map, we will be sharing those with Muskoka Built. And municipal review, so review and comment on proposed changes to comprehensive zoning bylaw. Comment on site-specific planning applications when appropriate. And then the official plan, we will review and comment on official plan policies. Are there any questions about the proposed work plan or any proposed changes to it? Nope. Great. Let me bring up my motion. Yep. Just gonna pass the motion, great. Great, perfect. So I'm gonna make a motion that the Municipal Heritage Advisory Committee 2026 work plan be endorsed and submitted to council for approval. Can I have a mover? Judy. A seconder is Glenn. All in favor? Motion carried. Beautiful. We are going to pull up for our next piece on our agenda. We're looking at the proposed committee budget increase with Glenn Silver has done a nice breakdown of that for us. We'll pull that up on the screen and we're going to go line by line.
Okay, I'm going to kind of look at this before I speak. This is, all I did was just basic math. So as a math teacher, you're probably going to find some mistakes in there. Let's see, oh dear.
Do you want me to read it out loud?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, I'll just read that for you, because I got a little screen here. Beautiful. So we did an estimated numbers and costs. So on the left-hand side, Glenn has created the number of the amount that we would be doing for the year, and then the estimated cost. So brochure options, we kind of left that open. Built heritage, there is no cost because we already have the signage for those. So our hope is 2 to 3 by next June to present those. And oval blue signs, There was hope to have 3 done. So the pricing that we have currently is $250 plus installation. Our storyboards, which are the 2x3 alu panels, our hope is to do up to 3. And the cost we have for that is $300 plus installation. And then we've left designation. So if anyone does come forward with some properties that they would like designated, we wanted to put into the budget a proposed around $600 for the fee for that. And I think you put council application on there? No? Okay. $600 for that. And below, we have conference, so the annual conference in attendance for the costs, including mileage, so that's including to go and the mileage to get there for only 2 members is $1,500. So the total estimated budget is $3,150 for the year. Are there any questions or any changes proposed? Judy?
That,
Yes, thank you, Glenn. Doing the math for us, it's great. Perfect. All right. Angela wants to speak to it.
Thank you. I guess I don't know if it's bad news. I just want to let you know that I've been repeatedly told this is a tough budget and a tough budget to ask for more money in. Just reiterate that, you know, I know one of the big increases in cost is the conference attendance, and I'm not sure. I think it's realistic to expect that a maximum of 1 person would be able to attend, should council agree. Obviously, I'm not speaking for council. I don't know if Member Jorgensen might have something else to say. And I would just say that I'll continue to advocate for free or low-cost learning options, and but to let you know that, again, just been told repeatedly that this is a very tough budget this round.
Go ahead, Randy.
Thank you. I'll just speak to that too and reiterate the same message, I think. So just to be clear, I think, Ange, we talked and you suggested we already have a budget embedded of approximately $1,250 is the number that I guess has been ongoing for many years. Again, to go above that, then I would have to bring forward a motion to say we want to increase the budget, and that's going to be very difficult to pass, I think, to be realistic about it, because I think there's going to be probably motions to remove things from the budget rather than add them. It is a very difficult year given the, as we all know, that what's happened in the past years. I will, obviously as the council rep, if you tell me what to go forward with, and it's the will of the committee, then we'll do that. I'm just looking at this, and we heard Ange say, for example, that many of the plaques that homeowners pay for their own plaque in some places, and I look at that. That's something we could consider, or also look at donations towards those things is another potential. But I think it is what it is that way, that the message that, I don't want to try and tie the hands of the committee from doing things, but I think it's going to be a very tough year to bring forward a motion and get it passed that exceeds what the allocation has been in the past. So I'll just leave it there and we can discuss.
Does anyone have any questions for Randy? Oh, Glenn, go ahead.
Just, it's a proposed budget. It's also flexible, obviously. This is something that we sat down and we said, you don't want to go to a conference alone. You want to be there with somebody if you can. And so we put in 2. And yes, Angela, it could be a maximum of 1. And therefore, you're taking out $750, you know, but to run the committee and to run the things that we'd like to do, it's simply proposed, and it is certainly flexible all the way around. And so I guess it needs some adjustments, but really, $1,250 is just not enough to do any of the work that we'd like to do. And so we should talk a little bit about increasing it, that's all.
Does anyone have any proposed changes that we could change on the budget or adjust? Judy, go ahead.
I wondered what percentage of the overall budget $3,100 would represent of the overall town budget. Do we know what the overall, roughly the town budget is? About that, I would think, yeah.
I wouldn't be comfortable answering that question,
Yeah.
but I would suggest that it's quite minimal.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, you can continue, Judy. Go ahead. Press it again.
There we go. $3,100 or $3,150 strikes me as being extremely low in the scope of things. Installation, I can't see being an issue because we've already said if we were going to be putting plaques or whatever on homes, we wouldn't be doing the installation on a private building or privately owned property. That in fact, that would be up to the homeowner. I can't imagine who would ever select designation as a possible option, just because of its restrictive nature. $3,100 seems to me to be minimal.
Thank you, Judy. Does anyone have anything they think needs to happen with that budget? Would we like to bring that forward? To have, yeah, Jorgensen to go forward with that? Most people are nodding their heads. Yes? Okay. So I have a motion. Oh, wow. That's a big one. Okay, so our motion for the proposed committee budget increase. So whereas annually, the Gravenhurst Heritage Advisory Committee has been provided with a budget of $1,250, which is used to support annual work plan properties. And whereas included in the budget is support for one member of the committee's attendance at the Ontario Heritage Committee, and whereas attending the conference allows committee members the opportunity to develop new skills, learn about heritage trends in Ontario, gain new perspectives, and expand opportunities for the Heritage and Culture Program, Town of Gravenhurst, and whereas the annual budget provided by Council does not provide support to guarantee participation of 2 members of the committee, therefore be it resolved that the Gravenhurst Heritage Advisory Committee recommend the mayor consider the inclusion of $3,150 in the 2026 mayor's budget to support the priorities, goals, and active participation of 2 members at the 2026 Heritage Conference, along with the other heritage goals and priorities. Can I have a mover? Glenn Silver, seconder. Richard Tatley, all in favor? Oh, you have a question? Oh, okay, so before I go to mover? Go ahead, Paul. Paul has a question before.
And adding $750 to $1,250 only brings us up to 2,000. So I'm wondering why the whole wording is about that.
It's a newer item, as you can see in the.
Haley's going to speak to that.
Unless I'm not. Sorry, one moment. It is it's not coming through. It should come through. Oh, I think I know it right now. Perfect. This was drafted by the clerk, and I think the premise is that traditionally there has only been one person going, so that is the new ask. We have to provide background on the new things you're asking for. At the bottom, there is that catch-all line that is saying your regular priorities. You regularly have already been honoring heritage, so those signed projects have been something that you've always done. This is a newer thing. So we're catching you have to show why the budget increase is being requested. And that is having 2 people sent to the conference rather than 1.
Doesn't add up to our total.
But it's inclusive with everything else that you were asking for.
In the budget work plan. So for when Randy brings it forward, we will have each byline available of the pricing and why we want to do these items. So that I believe Judy, if she's available, said she could go to the meeting and bring that forward. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yep. So they're just sort of saying this is traditionally where we were at and why we're changing it and what we're moving forward with. And that's why we want them to consider that amount. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Paul?
Council will not vote on our budget line by line, though.
I can't speak to that. But I believe that we'll bring forward what we're hoping for, and then it would be as a whole amount, whether they adjust or, I believe Jorgensen can answer that. Thank you. Randy?
Yeah, I mean, knowing that there's the $1,250, so what we'd be doing is increasing the amount of the planning budget. And it's not necessarily line by line, but it is saying we're going to need to increase in the planning department to cover it that way. And of course, we can speak to it. And just one thing, there's a major change this year that it is the mayor's budget, and that's under the strong mayor powers that have been designated by the province. So ultimately, even though, I don't know what's going to happen, nobody knows what's going to happen, but council could agree to it, and the mayor says, no, we got to pull back, and I'm going to trim that. So is that going to happen? That'd be pure speculation on my part. I think that as I say, I think all of council is going to be looking at the budget with a really sharp pencil. So that's just the reality of it.
Oh, do you have another question for Randy, Paul?
I just wanted to ask, so it will come up and it will be this or that? So it'll be $3,150 or back to $1,250? Or less?
It could be anything. The motion, so it'll just be a motion to add this amount. Someone may choose to say, well, no, let's only add 1,000 extra, pick a number. It's that kind of the whim of council. So the way that the budget process has worked for many years, and will be working this time as well, is the budget gets presented by staff. Each department will speak to their budget for their department, and then at the end, we bring forward motions to add or remove money from the budget. That's the way it works, has worked in the past. But again, the ultimate, in the past, it's been the will of council, but at the end of the day now, it's the will of the mayor. And that is a major change, obviously.
Thank you for answering that. Can we pull up that motion again? Okay, so I've read that. Can I have a mover? Glenn? A seconder? Paul? All in favor? Motion carried. All right, do we have any correspondence? Nope, no correspondence. All right, so our next, we're going to adjourn. Do I need you to motion to adjourn? Yes, beautiful, thank you. It's been a long week. I need a motion to adjourn. Glenn? Seconder is Judy. All in favor? Motion carried. Our next meeting date is Tuesday. Oh, that ended at what time? 5:43 p.m. Our next meeting date is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 4:30